Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining. Today's session is all about school attendance, why it matters, how we can support families, and what to do if challenges come up. And our aim isn't to judge or to blame, but to work together so that every child can get the most out of school. So my name is Scott Norman Stevenson. You might be familiar with me, you might not. I'm the school attendance officer for our cluster of schools. So that's Bishop Charles, Llanedeyrn, Springwood, St Mellons, All Saints, and St David's. So my role is to work with, work in partnership with families and with schools to support attendance and punctuality and to help remove barriers that might make attendance difficult and make sure that the right help is in place at the right time. And as I said before, I'm here to help. I'm not here to judge. I really want to help and support your families and your child, and support the schools as well. So, as a bit of a background here, so I can kind of explain how I'm approaching this role. I'm a parent to two children with an 8-year age gap, so I understand completely, firsthand the challenges that family life can bring, and how those kind of things can change. When you might have something under control at 1 minute, and then as the routines change, some other challenges and obstacles come along. And whether that's in the busy mornings, dropping a child off to one place and then a child to another, getting things ready, unexpected illnesses, children feeling anxious about school. I understand it from a parent perspective. As well as that, I've also been a teacher for 12 years before I took on this role. So I've seen how, I've seen the classroom impact as well, how important attendance is for learning, for confidence, for friendships, and how quickly children can fall behind if they're missing school regularly or if they're arriving regularly late. I also work as a school governor at St Mellons School, where I've had a focus on inclusion, equity, diversity. All of those things are really important to me, and as well as curriculum and health and safety. So I understand the wider responsibilities of the school, and trying to balance that alongside supporting families. And it's also worth mentioning that I'm currently studying for a master's degree, which is focused on education, and in particular, doing a research project at the minute that's looking at positive relationships and restorative approaches to improving attendance, because I really do believe that working with families to break down barriers is the way, really, rather than enforcing rules and fines and all those kind of things. So all of this means that I understand attendance challenges at every level, from parents, needs of the school, and I'm here to listen, support, and work with you every step of the way to make your child feel safe, feel happy, reach their full potential, and attending school regularly. So, why is attendance important? Children who attend school regularly um, make the most progress. It's as simple as that. Every school day matters, and we're always aiming for 100% attendance, because the more time that children spend in school, the more they benefit. Now, we know that children get sick sometimes, and that's part of life. So when we say 100%, we're not expecting children to come into school when they're unwell. What it really means is that we want every child to be in school as much as possible, so that they don't miss learning, the friendships and the experiences that help them thrive. So basically, what we're saying is we need to have the mindset of every day matters. So it's not just, this one day won't count, or maybe have an extra day off after an illness. Really, we're aiming for every day, unless you absolutely can't, and that's because it helps them gain the skills and the knowledge for success. Stronger friendships, stronger relationships with staff, feeling more confident and secure, safer, more supported, and they really benefit from stable routines and that consistency in learning. When, as if you off one day and then in the next, it can really affect how children cope with those routines. And therefore, children who are missing school regularly, it can be much harder to keep up with the learning and the routines. They miss the key skills, particularly where there's like a linear, like a continuous approach between the reading and the writing stages. Or in maths, where you need to learn a concept and then apply it. If you're missing key parts of that learning journey, it can be really hard to keep up and also to catch up as well, and find it harder to build and maintain strong friendships, which of course is an important part of coming to school. It could also mean feeling more anxious, less confident. If you're not into that stable routine, a child might feel a little bit worried about what's coming up, or everybody else knows a little bit more about what's going on, and it can kind of make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. Might miss out on special events or opportunities that are taking part in that are sort of happening in school, or they might need to have catch-up sessions. They might be starting to have interventions to fill in those gaps that they have had from where they've been off school, which might mean that they're missing out on new learning and new experiences, and that kind of gap grows a little bit more. So that's why we want to work with families early so that children aren't missing out. And as part of attendance, we are also talking about punctuality as well. Like I said, I know mornings can be busy. I know what the traffic is like in across Cardiff. But being on time really does help children settle and feel confident and get the most from their learning. So, the school day starts really from as soon as the children enter the building, with those routines. They might be doing recap tasks that up on the board. They might have notes in their book to say, have a look at this again from yesterday, and let's see if you can recap that, or see if you can try again on this task. It might be a warm-up activity that is starting for the lessons that are happening that day, and that's happening. The school day is packed in schools nowadays. Learning really does start early on, so it's not any like wasted time in school. So if they're missing that, then it can make the day harder if they're coming in and trying to catch up from the word go, really. They miss key instructions. Sometimes there are reading opportunities early on in the morning, so they're missing that chance to read to an adult. I know that lots of schools have Welsh games and activities, so that they're missing out on that Welsh language development. And you can see here that if your child is regularly late, then we're going to start contacting you, because this can go down as an authorized absence if it is more than 30 minutes, or fixed penalty notices and FPN from the local authority can start getting issued if it's happening over 10 times and it's continuing to happen. But I'll talk more about those later, because like I said, I'm not really about the punishments and the fines and those kind of things. I'm all about working with you early so that those things aren't necessary. So what do we expect of families? We expect families to call the school by 9 o'clock if their child is going to be absent, and give us a clear reason, provide medical evidence if the absent is frequent. I'll come on to that again in a second. Basically, with families, we really do just want that communication. If your child is not in school, then there will be someone based in the school, or it might even be me if I'm working and I'm kind of monitoring the attendance. We're going to be finding out where your child is. So it really helps us if you can get in to us at before 9 o'clock. It means that we don't really have to chase you for that information, or we can kind of leave you. If your child is ill, you want to be kind of attending to them, just give us a quick ring, leave a message, and we can sort that out with you then. So we ask families to give us a clear reason for why your child is off. If you're bringing to say the child is unwell for us could mean a lot of things. It could mean a stomach bug. where they're going to be off for 48 hours, if not longer. It could mean that they've got a cough or a sore throat, and it could be early signs of flu or COVID. It could mean that they've got a headache from staying up too late last night, not getting enough sleep, maybe playing video games or something like that. So it really helps us understand the full picture, not only what's going on with you as a family, as a child, but also kind of the wider school picture as well, so that you're feeding into. So you might think, oh, they don't really need to know about my child's bowel movements, for example. And actually, tell us, and we can see sort of how that fits in as a whole school picture as well. Children should be on time every day, as I mentioned. 30 minutes counts as an unauthorized absence, so please try and get in on time. Appointments should be booked outside of school hours where possible. So I know it's not always easy getting a GP appointment, and sometimes you've got to take what you can get, but really do try to push for those things that are outside of school hours. And if there is obviously a hospital appointment that's coming up and they've allocated you a time that's inside school hours, and it's something that can't be moved, we completely understand that. Just send us in some medical evidence so that we can kind of support you around that. And kind of a big issue within this cluster of schools at the minute is term time holidays. So I'm really going to ask that you really try to avoid these, as these are not going to be authorized. And again, depending on the length of it and your child's attendance previously up to this point, it could lead to a fixed penalty notice, and I really don't want you to have one of those. And remember, talk to us early if you're facing any challenges with any of those things. We're here to help. So in terms of the medical evidence, I said I'd go back to when do you need it? Does everyone need it? Why is it needed? Basically, if attendance is going down regularly because of a medical condition, or your child is ill frequently, we're going to need to have some sort of medical evidence. That can be a doctor's note. It can be a text from the doctor's surgery to confirm your appointment. It can be a photo of your prescription or your medicine and things like that. So if it's a one-off example, if it's a one-off cold, I'm not expecting you to go and see a GP for that. We know your child's going to bounce back in a day or two, and of course with a cold, these kind of symptoms can be managed in school as well. But if your child is off regularly with a cold, so perhaps they're off this week with a cold and they were off 2 weeks before, and then maybe like a month before that, and it's the same kind of pattern that we're seeing, then we'd be expecting that perhaps you'd be investigating what's going on. Anyway, you'd probably want to find out, why is my child becoming ill so frequently? Perhaps there's an issue that you're not aware of. Perhaps there's some way that your GP could help you, because typically that wouldn't be the case for a typical child being ill that regularly. So what we want there really is for, if we think about the cold, for example, perhaps there's an issue with sinuses, perhaps it's an allergy, perhaps it's a lingering chest infection that needs antibiotics or something like that. That's where you'd be able to provide us medical evidence, because you're going to find out why it keeps happening anyway. Another frequent example that we hear about that is like I mentioned before, about bowels, whether it's constipation, diarrhea, that kind of thing. Perhaps it's an intolerance. Perhaps it's not just that they've got an upset tummy that day. Perhaps that there's something in their diet that they're allergic to or intolerant to, sensitive to. Perhaps it might need a dietitian to become involved to kind of manage the situation long term. I sometimes hear about laxatives being prescribed, and therefore, obviously, parents are concerned that their child's going to have an accident whilst they're in school, and of course we completely understand that. But if it's something that is regularly affecting attendance, this is where you might be saying to your GP, okay, it's working, it's helping the constipation, but it is affecting my child's attendance, and it's negatively affecting my child in other ways? Is there something else we can try? Is there a better medication? Can we try changing the dosage? That kind of thing. Maybe it's something where the school gets involved as well. Maybe you can meet with the additional leads coordinator, put a toilet plan into place, something that can be managed in school, so it doesn't have to be that your child is just off whilst they're having those kind of things. So you're not always going to need medical evidence, but we will contact you if we're starting to see that it's kind of more than what we would usually expect. We completely understand that children do get ill. Sometimes there can be a condition where your child might be, genuinely ill for different bouts of illnesses, but we just kind of want to see that you're kind of working towards a solution in some kind of way with medical professionals. How can I help? My role is to offer support early because things can escalate. I don't want you to be getting like warning letters and things like that. I'm free to meet, whether you prefer in school or at home. It could even be out in the community, somewhere in one of the local hubs. If you feel a little bit uncomfortable coming into school, obviously don't want me in your home, I'd be happy to talk with you about creating a personalized support plan. Do we need to get any other services involved that might be able to help you, whether that's health, maybe that's social care, maybe kind of supporting you with getting in touch with the right person within the school as well, making sure that everybody is on the same page. I'm really happy to feel confident about your child attendance processes, your child attendance journey, make you feel that we're all working together because we all really want the best for your child. So at any point, please get in touch, and I can either help you or show you where you will be able to get help from and signpost it. Some kind of general top tips. Schools can be quite busy with lots of things happening, particularly if you've got more than one child, you've got different things happening on each day. Keep a visible calendar, stick it on the fridge, maybe it's on your phone, maybe you've got somewhere in your work office, whatever works for you, just so you know the dates and the trips, the events, everyone knows what's coming up. This is something that I feel is important, is talking positively about school and focus on what your child enjoys there. So you may have your own opinions about school, whether it's the school that your child is currently attending, whether it's your own schooling from the past. There might be some things that annoys you sometimes, but what's really important is that you're not passing that on to your child because they're the ones that have to go there for 6-7 hours every day. You want it to be a place where they're looking forward to you want it to be a place where they're looking forward to going. They're not being sent into a Victorian school. It's actually a school where they should be able to thrive and make positive friendships and really be enthusiastic about their learning. So if they're picking up on things from just conversations that you have in the kitchen about, I hate this kind of maths homework or that kind of thing, children can pick up on that, and it can affect how they're seeing school as well. And there may be some parts that your child doesn't enjoy about going into school, but kind of steer them into thinking about, well, you might not like this, but you've got this coming up, or you've got this, and you're really good at this. So help them see the positives as well. Praise every success, small improvements in attendance or punctuality. We're not expecting it, if you've got quite low attendance, we're not expecting it to be 100% overnight. We're going to be encouraging those step-by-step improvements. And again, that's something that you can do in your house if your child is one of those that's a bit reluctant to want to go to school or kind of slowing you down a little bit and getting to school on time. Really give them that encouragement, those small wins that you are getting. And if things feel overwhelming, please ask for help. We want to work with you, not against you. Okay, and I know I keep going back to that point, but it's really something that I feel really passionately about, that I know that having an attendance officer ring you or try and catch you on the yard can feel a bit maybe intimidating or something like that, but it's really not like that at all. We're here to help, really. So in terms of celebrating successes, each school is going to be doing something different, but I know that across the cluster, there's things like certificates, it might be extra playtime, it might be, they might get awards or trophies, medals. I know one of the schools last year had a trip for those who with really good attendance, celebrated in assemblies. It might be a text or a letter that's sent home to congratulate you. And again, it's not just about that 100% attendance, although that's what we're aiming for. We're also going to be celebrating those improvements as well. So we know that it's not going to be quick from going from, say if it's less than 80% up to 100%. But if you've gone from 80% to 85%, we're happy it's going in the right direction. We'll be celebrating that success as well. So I mentioned percentages there, just that's kind of how we monitor and support attendance. And you can see this is what's used in every school to kind of monitor attendance so that we can offer the right help at the right time. So 95 to 100%, all is good, positive messages sent home, we're going to be celebrating that attendance. As attendance starts to go below 95%, it's kind of where we're just going to start reaching out to you in a different way, and we might send a letter or a message just to let you know that your attendance is now going down to that level. We might do an early check-in with you to see if there's anything that we can do to help get it back up again. When it is below 90%, this is where you might be invited to meet with someone in the school. Perhaps it might be with myself, and an action plan can be put together. And this is where we might now start looking at medical evidence if that illness is frequent. At 85% or below, this is where I may come out and see you to talk through any challenges. We'll also look to see if there's any other help that might be needed around well-being, anxiety, routines, and look for any other services that might be able to offer extra support for your circumstances. And then when it gets below 80%, it's kind of where we're out of like the school action and kind of out of my involvement with this. This would then be where we're looking to get the Education Welfare Service to offer you a different kind of support, put that support into place. And then from them being involved, attendance should then improve. And of course, if it doesn't, that's when things like legal action can kind of be considered in terms of court processes and things like that. Generally isn't where any of us like to go, and it's quite rare. But just setting out that procedure for those different percentages. And one of the parents mentioned to me recently how they had a report that said their attendance was, let's say, 85%, and they thought, 85%, that's quite good. If I had 85% on a test, I'd be quite happy with that. I'm hoping that this diagram here will help you understand why, when attendance gets below 95%, 90%, 85%, is why we start thinking about it a little bit differently. Even at 95%, that's still 9 school days missed, and that's or a week and 4 days of learning that is being lost. So when it starts going down to 85%, that's 28 school days missed. That's a month really, and then you can kind of see here how if it's get down to 70, we're looking at 57 school days. So all of that time really does add up. So that's why we're really pushing for ideally 100, but that's why we start kind of communicating with you as it starts getting below that 95%, because that's a lot of learning time missed. And again, as I said at the start, it's not just about the learning, it's the routines and the relationships and the stability and those kind of things as well that are affected. And you can see here, every minute counts. 5 minutes late per day would be 3 school days if you added up all that time throughout the year. So even if you just think, it's only 5 minutes, actually it all adds up. And as I said to you earlier, learning does really start when the children enter the building. And if you're 25 minutes late every day, you can see that's 19 school days that would be missed, which is why it starts going down as unauthorized absence as you get to 30 minutes. Even though you might think, well, they're still the rest of the day they are in school, it's an unauthorized absence for that session. And then finally, this bit here talks about how there's 175 non-school days in a year. That's your time for your family time, your visits, your holidays, your shopping, your other appointments, and then the days where you're expected to be in school. We really do encourage you to be in school, and unless you absolutely can't because of an illness. In terms of common barriers, practical solutions, I understand that there are challenges. Again, I can work with you on your specifics, but kind of things that parents might say, busy morning routine, getting kids out the door. Really, my suggestion would be to pack your school bags, get the PE kits ready, do the lunches, if your child's having packed lunches the night before. Set 2 alarms in the morning, one that's 15 minutes earlier, for like a get ready, and then one for the leave the house kind of time. In my house at the minute, I've recently set up my smart speaker, my Alexa, to keep booming out to my son. It's 20 minutes till we're leaving, 10 minutes till we're leaving. It's time to put your shoes on, that kind of thing. So it doesn't all fall on you. You can use those kind of things to help you. And using a simple checklist for children can be good as well, so that they know the structure of what's expected for them. And the more that they do that, the more familiar it is, the smoother, fingers crossed in theory, it should run. I completely understand sometimes children feel anxious about coming to school, and it might not always be clear what the reason is for that. I know that sometimes, again, I'm thinking about my son here. If I say, "Oh, how did school go today?" he'll tell me, "Fine." "What did you do today?" "Nothing." I don't get a lot out of him. But if your child is feeling like that, anxious, we can work together to see what the problem is. Talk to school early. We can do meet and greets. Someone from the school can meet at the gates. We can get a buddy system set up so a familiar face goes down to meet them. It might be that they need, it can feel quite overwhelming when there's lots of people, crowding around in the morning. Everyone's in a rush. Perhaps they just need somewhere quieter to meet someone first before entering the school building. Those kind of things we can sort with you. So ask your child what's the hardest part, and share this with the school, and try and keep morning routines calm and predictable, so that it kind of reduces that anxiety that they might be feeling. Health and illness, again, book your GP dentist appointment outside of school. If it's a regular illness, you might want to keep a symptom diary, talk to the GP. If your child is well enough for activities at home, they're usually well enough for coming to school. Again, things can be managed in school. It doesn't. If they've got a runny nose, send them in. Those kind of things can be dealt with. Okay. If they've got a stomach bug and it's coming out of them both ends, you're obviously going to keep them off. But don't just think, "Oh, my child is ill, they have to stay home." Maybe it's something that, if you communicate with the school, it can be managed in school, particularly if it's an ongoing thing. And transport childcare, I understand the struggles that can be faced with this. Talk to us. We might be able to signpost support. There's breakfast clubs that we can arrange that are free. I know some schools offer an extended one for an additional fee as well, but we can try and help get you in there. Maybe it's a buddy arrangement. Maybe we're aware of someone else in the local area. You might be able to help each other out with those kind of things. So reach out to us and we'll see how we can help you. I'm going to touch quickly on fixed penalty notices. Again, it's not something that I want to go into too much, because it's something that if we get into this point, really, it means that the things are not really working as well as they should be before that. Okay, but I know some parents will ask about it, so just sharing this with you so everyone has the same information. So fixed penalty notices, FPNs, are issued by the local authority when there are concerns around school attendance. They're usually £60 per child, which then rises if it's unpaid to £120. So we always work with families to avoid this. The way that you can avoid it is keeping your child's absence below 10 authorized sessions. So that's 5 days in a term. Stay in touch with us, provide valid reasons. So, you'll be updating us about why they are off. Make sure that your child arrives on time every day, especially before the register closes, so you're not getting those unauthorized absences stacking up, because they are they're regularly late. Term time holidays. FBNs are strongly linked to term time holidays. If you avoid term time holidays, you can avoid FBNs there. And engage with support by the school attendance officer. So really, when if there's an issue and attendance is low, if you're working with us, then it's we're not going to then be saying, actually, this family are going to need an FPN because their attendance is low. That's not helping anybody. If there's an issue and we're helping you with it, then and you're engaging with us and it's going to improve, there's no need for a fixed penalty notice. It's just an FPN then is going to be a last resort. If you're avoiding my phone calls, you're not coming to meetings, you're avoiding me on the playground, those kind of things. Every time we try and reach out to you, if you're not engaging with us, it's kind of like we've got no other choice. The attendance isn't improving. You're not working with us. It's going to have to be an FPN. That's why it's really important. Just reach out to us, respond to us, because we don't want this for anybody. Okay. And then finally, I just want to share my contact details. I will have a phone number as well for those who would prefer to ring rather than email, and I will get that circulated out to you. But as I'm new to this role, that's still getting set up. If you have any worries, any questions, reach out to me at any time using this address, scott.normanstevenson@cardiff.gov.uk, or alternatively, if you see me around in school, reach out to me anytime. I'm here to help, not judge, and we want every child to feel safe, happy, and achieve their best in school. So I really appreciate you taking the time today to find out about attendance. Hopefully you'll be able to take away something from this, whether it's just do you know what? We're on the right track. We're doing the right thing here. If it's, I didn't know that. I'm glad I knew that because that might help with my routines. I know how to avoid FPNs. I might think twice now about that holiday, those kind of things. I'm hoping you've got something from that, but reach out anytime and I'll be able to help. I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care.